I was able to purchase this cash flowing duplex by pulling out a home equity line of credit on my personal home and using it as a down payment. But that was almost 2 years ago when the market was on fire and in great shape with the low interest rates. And it was actually kind of hard to buy a bad deal. But today we are heading into a totally different market. With high interest rates and scarce inventory, it's such a weird market right now. That's why in today's video, I will be going over exactly what a HELOC is, how I'm going to use my home equity line of credit in order to buy rental properties this year from the mistakes that I've learned in the past, and also current market data that makes me feel comfortable using my HELOC. And lastly, if you should be using your HELOC in order to purchase rental properties this year. And just because I'm using this strategy, it does not mean it's the right fit for you, but we will get into that later in the video. By the way, my name is Evan Phoenix. I am a real estate investor that is on a mission to scale my rental portfolio to build a better life for myself and my family. And I want others to experience the same. If you find this video valuable or entertaining, I really appreciate if you gave this a thumbs up. Now, I understand that there's going to be two types of people that are watching this video. One, those that are open to leveraging debt in order to purchase cash flowing assets and play the long-term real estate investing game, versus those who are totally against leveraging debt and take the Dave Ramsey approach. Whichever you are, I totally respect, but I'm speaking from my personal beliefs and my past experiences. So briefly, what is a HELOC? A HELOC is a home equity line of credit. It is a real estate tool that allows you to tap into the equity in your property without jeopardizing getting rid of your very low interest rate or having you to go out and get another loan. For example, let's say Bob owns a home that's worth $300,000, but Bob still owes $200,000 on it. Bob goes to a local bank and asks if he can get a home equity line of credit. The bank agrees to give him an 85% loan to value home equity line of credit. So you take 85% of the value of the property, which is $300,000, and you would subtract the debt on it, which is $200,000. So Bob is able to get a $55,000 home equity line of credit, which is a great amount in order to get started in real estate investing. The way it'll work is that he will not pay anything until he actually draws from the loan product. From when he draws from the HELOC, that's when he will start getting charged interest every single month until he pays it back. The great thing about a home equity line of credit is that it's a revolving line of credit, meaning that you can use it, pay it off, and then use it again similar to a credit card. But he can only do that for the draw period, which is typically between 5 and 10 years. And during that draw period, it's interest only payments. But after that 5 to 10 year draw period, you enter the repayment period to where you can't draw anymore, but you do have to pay off what's still owed on the HELOC. The last thing to note is that with a home equity line of credit, you can either get a fixed or a variable rate HELOC. If it's fixed, then whenever you draw from the home equity line of credit, then whatever that interest rate is a fixed amount and you have a flat payment that you pay towards. But for me personally, I have a variable rate interest rate, which means it fluctuates with the prime rate of the market. So basically it rises and falls with the market. So even though 2 years ago I got approved for a 4.5% variable rate interest rate, today if I were to draw from it, it would be 8.5%. So it's crucial to make sure that you account for that if you were to invest your HELOC. Now, before we go any further, I quickly want to point out the obvious. Using a home equity line of credit is a risk. It's a lien against your property, so if you do not pay that back, they could potentially take your home away from you. But like I said earlier in the video, a HELOC is a real estate tool that when used correctly can build massive wealth. This is a form of leveraging debt in order to purchase more properties with the hopes that it will appreciate. It will pay you in form of cash flow. All of the top real estate investors leverage debt in order to get ahead. But with that being said, there are situations when leveraging debt is a bad thing. The guidelines or rules for using my home equity line of credit to purchase real estate are actually extremely simple. Because if you know me, I have to dumb everything down anyways so that I can understand it. Number one is to buy real estate under market value, meaning that you purchase it with already built-in equity, and where I can force appreciation through renovation and raising rents. And I'm not talking about any crazy renovations, but bringing them up to market expectations. Number two is to only use a home equity line of credit for short-term debt. And when I say short-term, I'm looking to be able to pay off the entire amount of the HELOC that I used within 2 years, which if I follow rule number one, it's probably gonna be very attainable. The reason that you wanna use a home equity line of credit for shorter term debt is because it's not meant for long long-term debt. It's a variable rate interest rate that changes with the market. So if the interest rates increase, it could eat into your cash flow, and if a big expense comes up, well then you're gonna have to pay for that. The reason that you wanna use a HELOC for shorter term debt is because it's just the tool in order to purchase the property. It's not meant for long debt. The sooner you pay off that HELOC, the better, and if you have a variable interest rate just like mine, that means that it's gonna raise with the market and you could be paying more than what you originally expected. And the way you pay back is by doing the Burr Method, which is when you purchase a property, you force appreciation through renovation and rent increases, you place a tenant in there, you go back to the bank and basically say, look what I did to the property, it's worth a lot more now, can you give me a new loan? And when they give you a new loan, it's high enough to where it pays back your initial HELOC investment. I made the mistake of using a HELOC for longer term debt on the property that I mentioned I purchased 2 years ago, so I know that I'm not gonna make that mistake again. Number 3 is that when I'm analyzing a property, I need to make sure that it's cash flow positive after all of the expenses, including the HELOC monthly payment. And typically I will make sure that I adjust for even higher than what it is in case the variable interest rate increases during the time that I'm holding the HELOC. If the property is not cash flowing, I'm not going to purchase it because cash flow sustains your business and you need it in order to save up for CapEx repairs and vacancies and other issues that arise that you need to pay for. Now those are my rules, but the real question is, should you be using your HELOC in order to purchase a cash flowing rental property? Before I go into that, I want to tell you why I feel comfortable using my HELOC in order to buy rental properties this coming year. First off, the feds literally just came out and said that they're going to drop interest rates multiple times over the next year, which will make homes more affordable. Hopefully buyers will flood the market and raise home prices. Barbara Corcoran actually just went on the Bigger Pockets podcast and announced that she suggests that you buy right now because once interest rates drop, people are going to flood the market, and exactly what I just said, prices are going to increase, which will make it less affordable, which is why you need to buy right now. Now, I'm not saying believe every successful real estate investor, but I do agree with what she said. And secondly, if you buy right, meaning it cash flows and it provides you monthly income on top of all of your expenses with the intent to invest for long term, even if you buy a property overpriced, you will still be okay if you're playing the long-term real estate investing game. Yes, it'll probably bruise your ego, but in 10 years, you're not even going to remember what you paid for it, and it's going to have increased in price so much. So should you invest your HELOC in purchasing a rental property? This is honestly going to depend on your risk level, your real estate goals, and the investment strategy that you'd like to use. But let me make it a little bit more clear. If you are going to purchase a cash flowing asset below market price, and you force appreciation into that property, and only use your HELOC as shorter term debt, then I'd say do it as long as you're confident in your numbers and you buy right. And the reason I could say that is because I am personally going to be using the same strategy heading into this next year. If you plan on buying a second home or buying a property that does not cash flow at all, or a property that you can't afford, or even using a HELOC for longer term debt, I personally would go against that and say don't do it. So what now? If you're still interested in using a home equity line of credit in order to purchase rental properties, then you'll definitely want to know exactly how the payment structure works so you know how to calculate it into a property when you're analyzing it, and so that there's no surprises. So make sure to check out this video next where I go into depth exactly how a HELOC payment works. Thank you and happy investing.